What's going on, everyone? Zane here with Everything Vibe. Want to welcome you back for another episode. I'm here with Ronnie. Ronnie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good so far. So I think we are. I don't know why I said that. So we are trying out the new format that we had been discussing previously. For anybody who is looking for a game talk last Friday, I apologize we didn't let you guys know ahead of time. But with that top 50 episode, I felt like we covered quite a few games, and we were kind of game talked out at that point. So yeah, moving forward, we're going to try this new format where we're going to be cutting it down to 2 episodes a week. And today's episode will be a combination of news and game talk. And then we actually have an interview recorded and lined up for you guys that'll be coming to you later this week. So that's what we're looking to do, at least for the next couple weeks, I think.
Today might not be the best representation of what it's going to be like. Like, I think some of the experiences that we're going to be talking about today are a little shorter than usual. But just expect in general for us to more or less, cover the same type of material, the same type of news discussions, the same type of game talks, but just, packed together.
And I mean, in terms of length-wise, like I feel like that was an issue, or just something that people brought up. I mean, we're really just combining the episodes, so it'll be twice as long as it was, or it's just a matter of, I guess, logistics for us, making it easier to meet up or to do this once a week rather than having multiple times. So we're going to see how that fits with our schedule. We're going to see how you guys respond to it. Maybe get some feedback from you guys in a couple weeks here and just see how it kind of flows. And, after 50 episodes, we want to change it up, see what we can do differently. And this is one of the areas or things that we wanted to try. So you ready to jump in, Ronnie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Well, let's do news first. And just got a couple of articles here that we can go through. Nothing too crazy. But let's start with the less interesting one, which is I shouldn't say that, but less interesting in terms of, I guess, well, whatever. It's just
it is what it is.
It is what it is. I want to mention it because I want to show the goodwill that HTC and the Vive are doing, and they're committing $10 million to a lot of social projects. So for developers out there who are working on apps that drive awareness for famine, poverty, climate change, just social awareness in general, they're setting aside a decent chunk of change, which will help developers and support these developers in getting those projects out there. So if you're involved with any of these types of projects, make sure you look into that. But for me, it's a feel good story. Like, I guess it's hard to hide my bias. I'm already very much Team Vive, but you always want to see the company that you're supporting doing some good, giving back, and being aware that virtual reality is much more than gaming and business. There's a lot of social aspects that can be short up, just a lot of benefits that can be taken from it. But
yeah, in general, I mean, it's a good medium for engendering empathy into people, getting them to experience something on a more personal level than some of the other types of media out there. So VR and I guess public welfare kind of go hand in hand in a sense.
Yeah, very, very much so. Well, I mean, and this is just talking about the conversation we were having earlier, where VR is very immersive in terms of storytelling. And so, we were talking about that in the context of a narrative, but now if you're going to be able to do it in the context of trying to drive social change, you may be able to really, for lack of better words, or metaphorically put someone in another person's shoes and show what an experience is like, instead of just having them read about it or watch a movie. They get to actually physically interact with something. And so I these apps are still in development, but when they come out, it'll be really fascinating to see what creative ways people use the medium in order to drive that social change.
Yeah, and I also like just the fact that I think these types of experiences in VR really help to market the idea of virtual reality outside of the general sphere of gamers or game players or people that are into the tech for enthusiast reasons. I think your average person, when they read a news story and hear about this new technology that allows people to become more more involved with the social a social movement or some kind of a more educational effort. Like I think it gives goodwill to the platform. So I think that's another
Absolutely,
positive thing to look at for HTC, funding these experiences. You can look at this type of story and say, for people out there that don't know much about VR, if what they do know is that, HTC and others that are supporting VR platforms are looking to encourage positive types of applications and software, then they'll view virtual reality also as like a positive, net worth.
No, absolutely. And I guess maybe I should apologize and say this is not the less interesting. Yeah, it is very interesting. And, you never know what type of change and positive benefits will come from HTC putting their support and, their financial weight behind some of these apps. You just never know like what'll be out there. So not less interesting and talking about it that, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong.
It has Zane's stamp of approval now after thinking about it a little bit.
No, not stamp of approval, but I guess just in context to what we're going to talk about next, which is a little piece of information from the Valve AMA that Joe Ludwig did. And it's about the new base station coming out later this year. He says they're going to put it on a production line and people should be seeing it later this year, by the end of this year. And for those who aren't familiar, like it was first announced at Steam Dev Days. The primary difference is that it looks like they're gonna simplify the components, which is what you and I have been talking about, Ronnie. It's instead of it shooting the lasers horizontally and vertically, you're gonna have one kind of diagonal single rotor instead of a double rotor.
Okay, no, that makes sense. It's gonna be cheaper for them to manufacture, and less moving parts equals, I guess, more reliability, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I mean, either way you look at it, I mean, it's good that they're going to make the system cheaper. I wonder if a price cut will ever eventually.
I was just thinking about that too, because you said it's going to be cheaper for them, but I wonder if that will reach consumers.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I would imagine eventually the goal would be to sell the hardware for less money, I would think, but who knows? And I also wonder if they're going to make this, I mean, if this is going to be included in a bigger push to make the entire, headset itself cheaper, or if they're going to start bundling it with, revised hardware in any way. Like, I wonder once the new base stations are ready and put out there, in the market, if it's going to be, if it's going to be just one of those silent things, kind of like, the different cables and such, where, certain people that buy Vives just happen to have the new base stations in their kit, and it's not really something that's really super, obvious from the outside, or if it's going to be part of like a new packaging. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, so let's piece together what we know so far. We know that there's new base stations on the way. Mm-hmm. That's confirmed that they're going to be coming out, at some point later this year. We know that there's a controller prototype in development. We haven't really received any more information on that, but I would assume that HTC would want that out sooner rather than later. I'd be surprised if they, if they announce it last year, or like show off a prototype for it in 2016 and wait a year and a half. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just being impatient.
Yeah.
Then you have these Vive trackers coming out. Mm-hmm. Like I guess I'm just curious, will there be a Vive 1.5 update where people who buy their Vive in 8 to 12 months from now, are they going to get a different box, or different set that comes inside the box than what you and I got?
Yeah,
I'm not talking about software. I'm talking about hardware.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. I mean, we also have the premium head strap.
That too, yeah. Well, yeah.
But I think, I mean, because some of these things kind of differ in terms of, like, some of them are added costs versus minimum, versus less. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to promote the trackers, for example, you could potentially, and if you wanted to promote the trackers but still sell the kit at the same price, and you were saving money on the base state, like, I guess potentially if you really wanted to get more of those out there in the marketplace, you could cheapen the overall package a bit by having cheaper base stations in there, but then including something like a tracker or two with the base kit, and then sell it for $800 still. I don't know. Like, I mean, there's probably multiple. I bet they're thinking of different ways that they'd want to really incorporate this, because it all depends on really what their vision is for some of this new hardware, as to whether it's going to be standard or if they're going to, like, I still think the premium head strap, for example, is something that probably is not going to be packaged for the same price with the normal kit, because it's just too...
And maybe even the trackers too, to be honest with you. Like, I just feel like, I mean, as much as I would want there to be more included, obviously, even though I'm not going to get a second Vive, but it just seems like the headset, if they're going to dub it as a premium or a deluxe headset, you're going to pay extra for that. You know what I mean? And the only way that you get it in a package in the Vive box is if they have a deluxe box package. You know what I mean? That includes maybe that and several of the other, maybe new controllers or whatever. But I feel like the base stations are the most, I guess, just basic. Is the
they're like the building blocks of the
exactly,
VR
and nobody really thinks about them. So that's something that you could easily hot swap in. Like once you run out of the old ones, you just start putting these in the new box, and it's not like, it's not like you and I will be clamoring for, hey, when's the next base station coming out? I want to sign up for, to pre-order the new base station.
Your base station either works or it doesn't at this point.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like that would be the simplest. The next would be the controllers, just because that, I mean, that's a huge part of your experience. And, it's going to depend on what developers kind of put out there. And I mean, who knows? This could also be saved up for, a Vive. I'm doing air quotes here, for like a Vive 2 release, just because controls like that might change the game a little bit too much. You're going to have developers that will need to, I guess, adjust quite a few things. I'm thinking about games right now where, developers would have to go on the back end and readjust certain things with how people interact with, either guns or bows and arrows or, just any type of object. If the mechanics for those controllers are very different from the current ones, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like a 1.5 update would be more in line and maybe include the base stations. But I'm just trying to piece together all, like, we're just scraping for news anywhere that it comes from Valve, from HTC.
At this point, it's kind of crazy that we've had so many hardware announcements, quote unquote, without any kind of specifics on how they're going to be released or sold or any. Like, I mean, if you think about it right now, I mean, we have wireless solutions.
I was just gonna say, I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah,
I mean, that's another. I know there's nothing officially by HTC, but they officially partnered with TPcast.
Yep. No, so just there's so many things that are apparently coming to the market, and a lot of them are even first party supported platforms that we still don't really know yet exactly how they're going to be released. So it's kind of, I mean, I can't wait to see, because I mean, half of this stuff I'm really interested to see. I mean, talking about what the trackers will be able to accomplish in games, or what, I mean, I pretty much any of these new peripherals are things that I have interest in. And it's really just going to be a matter of what they all cost, and either individually or as a package, am I willing to shell out that amount of money? Like, when I really want the premium head strap, but if the premium head strap ends up being like $200 and I have to decide whether I'm going to get that and or also pay $200 for a wireless system, and if I want to pay $100, let's say, for trackers, and like, you're talking about doubling the cost of your Vive, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do. So I really hope that some of these details come out soon.
So I would say, out of all of the accessories or upcoming items that we just discussed, for me, and I'm obviously have a very different perspective than Valve and HTC, but if I was in their place, I would almost say that, like, getting a wireless solution pre-packaged, or like inside the package, the base package with their device, would have to be a top priority, because you want everybody who tries the Vive for the first time to have the best possible experience, right? So having a wireless solution plugged in, especially when your competitor doesn't have one, and namely talking Oculus and PSVR. But if you can be the first to include that in your base package, and maybe there is some business. Some business or financial reasons for not including it, but for me, it's just like, okay, if you're trying to fight the war for market share and audience, you know what I mean? Like, as it is, there's a lot of really goodwill going towards HTC and the Vive right now, just in terms of development and just all the innovations that HTC has been able to push out ahead of its other competitors. So I would just assume that this would need to be one of those things that you get out there. But what do you think?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I don't know if it's possible, but at the same time, there is some kind of a partnership. So I don't think you can ever necessarily rule it out. The other thing that I think just is interesting as far as the Vive goes is I think wireless solutions tend to highlight the strengths of the Vive even more so than the other platforms. So I think having a workable wireless solution for the Vive actually helps that experience more than having a wireless solution for the Oculus or the PlayStation VR, etc. Because there's so much more movement going on. There's so much. I mean, when you have games that are specifically designed to move around in a room, and then you have the ability to no longer have to worry about the cables, I think it makes such a giant leap forward in terms of how you're enjoying. I mean, already people when they try the Vive and then realize that not all other virtual reality experiences offer the same type of room scale experience as the Vive, like that already puts it a step ahead.
Yeah.
But if you were to also be wireless, I think that's just, like I said, I think a wireless Vive is much cooler than a wireless Oculus Rift or other
for right now.
Yeah.
But and just to be fair, for right now. But I mean, the thing is, like, it's early bird gets the worm. So there is going to be some benefit for being the first company that introduces a viable wireless solution. So.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's all I have for news. How about you?
I think that was pretty much it. I mean, I'm trying to think if there was any. No, I think we pretty much covered most of it. So.
Yeah. Well, so I now we switch over to the game talk part of it, and again, this is the first time we're doing this, so if you guys will just forgive and excuse the roughness as we transition from one part to the next, but are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's talk about games.
So we're gonna keep this format where we both kind of bring a game or experience that we tried out over the past week. This week, let's just go into it. I'll start off. I did Abode, which is one of the top rated games on the Vive. Actually, I saw it on the first page of in Steam when you do or sort by user reviews. And so just surprised that I saw it there, was able to get my hands on a copy, and I haven't finished it through just yet. I actually did a lot of it, but it's pretty in depth. And so I would say that I'm actually quite satisfied with the game. So for those who aren't familiar with it, it's another puzzle solving type of game, but it has a very like sci-fi noir feel to it. There's no real storyline, which I'm not going to knock the game for because that's not what it was going for. But, you kind of just end up in this room and you need to find a way out. And, there's several different items and stuff that you come across. And it's cool because while there are regular everyday items like, pencils, pens, screwdrivers and stuff, there are, like I said, it's sci-fi. So there are a lot of like somewhat futuristic items that you need to figure out how to use properly, and that adds to the experience. And I'm a fan. I really like these types of games because it's hard to get tired of them, because I feel like there's so many, the developers, not just for Abode, but developers behind these games can get really creative with how they set up these puzzles. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to go through and figure it out. And there's just something just so damn satisfying about figuring it out. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, it's not going to get old. And I think as we go along, I'll just name drop the gallery just because I feel like that's the game that I've played that has done it, I'd say the best in terms of integrating a full kind of AAA feel with a very strong narrative, a very strong gameplay. But again, this isn't to take anything away from Abode. I think Abode is a fantastic game. But I'm just saying that like the trend I think will be more towards building out these future games because everybody wants more depth, right? Everybody wants a little bit more. And, I think that's eventually what you're going to get. All these different puzzle games are going to come out. You're going to find out which, the cream rises to the top, which are the best ones and which offer the best types of, unique puzzle solving experiences. And eventually you'll get to a point where, you have a game that comprises of all of those experiences and then adds like its own unique layer or texture on top of that. And so we're not there yet, but
just curious. I mean, as far as Abode, because I haven't had a chance to play it yet. What makes it special in VR? Like, is it when you're solving the puzzles? Is it manipulating objects and kind of dealing with the physics behind that kind of makes it, satisfying to be playing in VR, or kind of, what is it specifically that makes it a cool VR experience? Just wondering.
Sure. Well, are you saying that in comparison to other puzzle solving games, or
Not
just in general?
necessarily, but just in general, because I mean, I'm trying my best to picture what it's going to be like to solve some of these puzzles, but not having played the game before, I was having trouble in my head just kind of visualizing, what the puzzles comprised of and what exactly you were interacting with, and kind of how it sets up from one puzzle to the other.
So okay, I mean, in terms of like just actual mechanics and gameplay, it's very similar to a lot of other puzzle solving games out there. I think something that the game does well, which you and I have talked about, is there are a lot of objects in there and you can interact with each and every one of them, which again just adds that layer of immersion. And not all of the objects are necessary. In fact, I'd say a good majority of the objects that I came across weren't necessary.
Okay.
But they fill out the room and they give you that sense of just a sense of presence, being there in the room, knocking off stuff or looking around. And I will say this, I guess, and it's early on, so hopefully this isn't too much of a dead giveaway for people who go through the entire game. But one of the coolest features that I think is, and well, let me try to do this without giving away any spoilers. But there's a one piece of the puzzle, just a tiny piece, where it tells you to go to a specific part of the room. Or there's an object in the room that you need to go to and look at. And so it just says that, your answer is with this object. It doesn't even say like with that object specifically, but you kind of get the gist. So you go over to this object and, it's not the object itself where you find the clue. It's in these little rotating pieces around it, which you don't really think of because you're really focused on the object. But then you start working with these pieces and they just rotate completely in 360 degrees. And I wasn't sure what to do with them at first, but if you line them up, they actually spell something out. And it's just one of those things where you're sent to a certain area, you're looking at an object, but it's not really the object, it's the surrounding area, and then you have to arrange that surrounding area. So the best way that I can describe it is that like, you're able to flip around these things that you're not really sure what they do, but when you accidentally land on them being aligned to a certain extent, you see something, you're like, wait a second. Is this is this the pin that I'm looking for, the 4-digit pin that I'm looking for? And so I guess that's just one small example of some of the unique features that they have, or that the game has in it. And so
and it sounds like that's kind of based on your perspective of kind of like, I can see how VR would accentuate a situation like that, because you really narrow in your vision on one object, and you kind of, but still the rest of the environment, the rest of what's going on is kind of, in your periphery vision, and it kind of,
Well, it's more so just to answer your question about like what makes it special in VR. It's the fact that like I was there, and had I been interacting with the object in real life, I would have had to do the same thing. So there's like nothing. It's almost in a way, and this isn't a bad thing. Like there's nothing special about it, but it's just like you're interacting with these objects in very real ways. That again just adds that layer of immersion. And another thing too, because I guess this isn't common across all puzzle solving games, is there's teleportation. The room is actually bigger than your play space, and so there's a lot that you can explore. And I know that there are other puzzle solving games that I've either played or seen where you're kind of just standing in the same spot, and you solve X amount of clues until you finally get to the end. This, for better or for worse, it uses teleportation to be able to go around the room. But because there is an expanded square footage of space, I guess they're able to fit in more clues. They're able to put stuff in different areas around the room. And so I guess it's something similar to Survive, the Deuce Helix, which is something a game we talked about a while back. We even had the development team on, and so it's something similar to that, where you get to go around this room, and yeah, it's a really cool game.
Very, very cool. Well, yeah, I'll definitely have to check. And do you know how much it is?
I believe it is $10 on Steam.
Okay.
So
no, I'll have to check it out.
Won't break the bank. I mean, yeah, it's good. The thing is, like, maybe I guess my only caveat with the price is that if this isn't your cup of tea, and specifically maybe if you don't really enjoy this game, you might not find the value for it.
I can see it's either something that you're going to get it really into and play from start to finish, or you're going to get confused and not really be into it and then shut it off and not really.
Well, so I'm just talking strictly about price. I'm like, if it's if you really love puzzle solving games, $10 is going to seem like a steal to you.
Sure.
If you're not a big fan of it, then you might spend $10 and be like, it's just another like puzzle solving type of game. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't really worth it. So I guess that'll be the only caveat that I give. If you're not really feeling those games, then
sure.
Yeah. But
as far as those kind of escape room like puzzle solving, this is a pretty good one.
I'd say it's fairly priced. I mean, of course, we all want everything to be cheaper, right? But to support the devs, I think they're onto something good there. And yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. I hate knocking stuff on price because like you and I have talked about before, price point is such a subjective term.
Sure.
So again, like that's why I'm trying to give a perspective on price that has the caveat of like whether or not you're really into the game. Like if you're really into those types of games, like puzzle solving games, then like for $10, like it's great because like it buys you an experience that is top of the line in that field of that genre of games.
Yeah.
But if you're not feeling it and if you're not into those types of games and you're into like, whatever, like $10 might be spent elsewhere better because you're not really looking for that experience.
Yeah.
You could find an experience that you are more into elsewhere.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So yeah, I guess with that being said, try the Survive demo because I would say that that's pretty similar in terms of depth and in terms of just gameplay. And if you like that, then this is something that you can look into and be like, I want more. So, and of course, Survive has a full game, so you can grab that as well.
Okay. Well, no, that's good. That's good to hear. So very cool. So as far as I'm concerned, I didn't really get to play anything of great substance this week. I did play things, but they're mostly games that I've already talked about on prior game talks, so I didn't really want to rehash those.
If only there were more hours in the day, right?
I know. How are you supposed to get back to some of these things? But what I did, like just kind of quickly while we were looking over news items, happened to come across was this virtual reality experience in the White House. It's Trump in VR is wide awake, and you can get it on Viveport. And it's not really
only available on Viveport at the moment. I don't know if it'll go on Steam, but
sure. So it's just a free little Unreal Engine application that you run, and there's really not much to it at all. But I was just going to mention it because it's kind of it has pretty high fidelity and it's kind of topical. So why not bring it up? I like that kind of stuff sometimes, just to kind of check it out for fun. And this is literally, you're just standing in the Oval Office, and it's dark, and you can turn on flashlights, and Donald Trump is there standing at the desk ready to, I guess, be your president.
You made it sound really creepy by saying it was dark, but it is dark. I had a chance to try it out as well. Yeah, I guess just in the vein of inauguration last week, and we're not going to get political on the show because that's not what we're about.
No,
but in the vein of the inauguration and Donald Trump becoming president, there is this release which is pretty photorealistic. I want to say,
it's very well. I mean, it looks like Donald Trump for sure. And
the guy's tall. I mean, 6'3", like he's a big man. He's a
an imposing figure.
An imposing figure, yeah. So standing there in the Oval Office.
It's neat just to check out. And like I said, I mean, Unreal games in general just look really nice. There's no animation. There's nothing. He's just it's almost like a wax museum type experience in a sense.
Which I will admit was like really creepy because looking around, you're almost just kind of waiting for Donald to move. I'm sorry, Mr. President to move. But I mean... It's cool, and I think the charm of it, or the idea of it, is just the realism and being able to stand in the Oval Office. I think when you were going through it, you mentioned that as just being a really cool aspect.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it just makes me kind of want more Unreal Engine games that are fully fleshed out with real care. Like I wonder when we're gonna get those AAA games that run at that kind of a high fidelity with actual animation and everything. But I mean, for now, it's free, so you can just check it out. And in general, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the Viveport store, though. Some of it we were looking through seemed a little bit pricey, but no specific apps. We were just kind of perusing the various menus and such. But there's a lot there, so I kind of want to look through it a bit more to see what.
And so here's the thing with Viveport, and I'm not bashing. I'm trying to give just constructive criticism in our perspective. Like, one, it's very difficult to search, and granted, I was doing a lot of that in the headset itself. I'm sure it's probably easier outside, but it's difficult to search and go through and get a real feel for the apps that are there. And then two, again, going through this on the headset, and even also, I guess, online, like, I guess maybe because there's not the same type of player base that Steam has. And even still, with the Vive community being so small, the amount of people who have headsets, the fewer amount that, buy a specific game, and then the even fewer amount of that who leave a review. Yeah. So, you have a lot of these, like you mentioned, and I don't want to harp on price point too much because, again, that's a very, very subjective, just a subjective point. But for all these things, like, I'm not sure whether it's worth it. Even if it's a couple of bucks, like, sometimes there's no reviews, sometimes there's like one or two, or it's just and so
it's not a single app that's going to break the bank. Or, like, I mean, if I could, I'd spend money on everything out there, but it's just the issue of when there is, like, kind of an unlimited, in a sense, number of apps to choose from, and they're not curated, then even $2 or $3 becomes an issue, because unless I know that this is something I'm going to like, there's only so many applications you can buy for $3 before you've spent $100, and and you've already.
I mean, and to be fair, I don't think we saw anything for $2 to $3. I think the minimum was like anywhere from 8 to 10.
Exactly.
Which again, like, I'm not trying to be cheap. Like, I don't mind. I have no problem spending money on quality content.
Yeah.
It's just now it's difficult to determine what is quality.
Yeah.
And so, it's difficult to determine what's quality on Viveport simply because there isn't as much traffic as there is on Steam.
No, that makes sense.
While there are cool apps like this on Viveport, I will be looking into it more, just like you said, because we were kind of going through there, and they had a lot of free stuff, a lot of free apps that kind of caught my attention, or even not free apps, but it's worth checking out. But like I said, I have my reservations. I would, if I see something there that I think is cool, I'd probably end up double checking if it's on Steam and going with that, based on the reviews that it has on Steam.
I would probably do the same thing. And likewise, it's just nice to have all your content in one place. So
That's true too. Although, I'm still amazed with being able to do everything in the headset, being able to switch back and forth from Steam to Viveport to looking at your desktop. You know what I mean?
No, it's all very seamless. So.
It's very streamlined, and so I agree with you. It's nice to have all your stuff in one place,
but it kind of already is in a sense, like it's in your headset. Like,
well, I mean, I guess the fact that it isn't in the same place is somewhat mitigated by the fact that you can easily go back and forth without having to take the headset on. Like if you had to take the headset off and on, or off just to go from Viveport to Steam, that'd be really annoying. But you can do so much in the headset. I mean, I can even adjust the volume of the computer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just like the resolution, things like that. So like it's just really, it's just fantastic. I can't think of another word, but it makes the experience, like not having to take the headset off for every little thing is such a blessing that I don't think we kind of take that for granted.
No, I totally agree. And thinking about like looking at the pricings and just going through Viveport a little bit, earlier, it makes me realize that it is such a good opportunity for a subscription service. Like I think we talked about in a previous news episode that Viveport might be looking to add a subscription service where you're able to try out a bunch of different titles for a monthly fee. Like depending on what that monthly fee is, I could see that being a really cool. I mean, it's hard to justify $10 here, $10 there on random apps, but I might be worth. I might definitely consider spending $10 a month if I had just blank access to all of the apps through Viveport that I could check out whenever I wanted to, and just know that if I did want to just experience lots of different things that would be available.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we talked about this in a previous episode with industries tending to go more towards that access-based economy, subscription model type of format. And I mean, I'm totally down for it, especially now after having gone through Viveport a little bit more. Just, this whole Wide Awake thing with Donald Trump, the app that's there, just searching for that and being able to explore Viveport a little bit more opened my eyes to a lot of the things that are on there. And so, you can still sign up. I actually already did just to get information on when that subscription when that subscription service becomes available. And I don't know if there's a hard date yet. I'm keeping my eyes peeled, but I have not seen anything. Mm-hmm. But whenever it does come around, I'm almost thinking like in the vein of like Netflix or Amazon Prime or something where if it's $10 or less and you get access to all of these cool titles, that's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Too.
Like I'm gonna spend probably $120 on content throughout the year.
Yeah,
but if I can get more value than that by having access to all of the or most of the content that's on Viveport, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, agreed.
So awesome, man. Well, that's all I have for today. How about you?
Yeah, no, I think that was a decent discussion, and hopefully next week we'll have even more to talk about. So
yes, for sure. So this is a new format. Let us know what you guys think. Like I said, we're gonna try this out at least for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two at least, and just to see how it is on our schedules and to see how it is in terms of getting all of our VR conversation in at one time, rather than kind of spreading it out throughout the week. Which I know some people had preference for the other way, and I apologize if you preferred that format, but we are going to keep these episodes just as long. So, when we transition from news to game talk, you can just pause it and listen to the rest of it the next day or something. But whatever the case might be, let us know what you guys think. And again, we are on iTunes, Stitcher, and on YouTube. So please make sure you subscribe and continue the conversation with us on YouTube. That's our favorite place, and where all these videos and episodes are uploaded as well. And that being said, Ronnie, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right, man. We'll cut it here. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.